Alright, this is a question I'm going to answer. Can you learn martial arts from books, from reading books? First, I'm going to go over my own experience to see, to give my feedback on it. Basically, I started off playing a lot of basketball on my own, starting at the age of 9. And I played a lot of, like, shooting around on my own, like, shooting hoops on my own, like, half court, just by myself, doing a lot of that, and playing, like, one-on-one, playing, like, two-on-two, but I didn't really get much experience playing, like, full court and basketball, and it's very different playing full court basketball than half court basketball, and the difference between like shooting by yourself, playing one on one, playing two on two, playing three on three, but playing like 5 on 5 full court, I didn't really do that often, but it's definitely very different. So I think there's a lot of correlations to that. Like you could be a great basketball player one on one with somebody, but it doesn't mean that you're gonna be really good playing full court because it's completely different elements, and that's what I lacked. And when it came to, joining the high school team, I couldn't make it because I didn't have that type of experience. So I started playing. I started getting into the martial arts at the age of 16. When I got into the martial arts, I had instruction. I had Sifu and his son, who was also Sifu, teaching. So I taught. I learned from them for 2 years. Private instructions, and that helped me a lot. So immediately at the beginning of the martial arts, I immediately had like hands-on experience, or like people with hands-on experience teaching me, and they were not just regular people that were unknowledgeable or didn't know what they're doing. They knew what they're doing, and that really helped a lot too. So 2 years I felt gave me a solid foundation, and once I got that foundation, it was basically like learning a language. Like once you learn the language, then you could almost teach yourself, through looking at books and watching videos. Then I created a martial arts club where it was designed for like martial arts students of different styles to join, and then we all trained together. But there was like no master, no Sifu. Everybody was just basically students, college students, and we're training together. And that's when I started to learn from other people that were practicing, and share ideas and training methods. And that's when I started to kind of create my own training methods. And then I got into Bruce Lee's books, and then I started to learn a lot from him. Learning from his guidance, and then I just took it from there. I would say that when I first started reading Bruce Lee's books when I was in college, they were difficult to understand, especially the Tao of Jeet Kune Do. That was extremely difficult to understand. The books that were more understandable were like the basic books, with like self-defense books by Bruce Lee, volumes 1 through 4. Those are easy to understand, and then his weight training methods, that was easy to understand. But when it came to the philosophies, those were like very difficult to understand, and it took like more time and patience and years of experience in order to start understanding those teachings. But those are my experiences, and then I went into law enforcement, learned hands-on with them, and their training methods. But I pretty much always had people to train with, as far as training, directly under a Sifu when I started, and then going into college, I had training partners, and then after college, I, I'm making a video. After college, I was basically, um, then I started to train my own, but then I had students, like private students, and then after that, now I was creating my own school, so I have students to train with. So I always had people to train with. I didn't really ever really was by myself, and obviously I watched videos, I read books, and what I say is that in order to learn from books and even videos, you would have to have a strong foundation, like to work off of. Like if you had instruction from somebody directly, and you really had a really strong foundation, then I would say that you can learn from books and you can learn from videos because you're going off of that foundation. But it's like if you don't have a foundation, then I don't think you can't learn. Like not not if you want to learn how to be efficient in like actual self defense and like sparring and things like that. Like if you don't care to be good at sparring, then yeah, of course you could learn. You could, because you don't need to really know the science of it. You just have to follow the movements, and then it becomes like, just following somebody's dancing, or you just simply just exercising, just following movements. But in order to like really understand the science and how it works, and then testing out the techniques, you can't test out the techniques without somebody to test it out on. And in addition, you need to have somebody to test it out on that has experience, because if the person doesn't have experience, then you're not going to be able to learn like how fast somebody could punch and kick at you, and how they could try to fake you. And like the people don't have an experience and you're sparring with them, they're not teaching you anything really, especially when you don't know anything. So like somebody that's untrained, they cannot just all of a sudden like do proper form and good technique and speed and accuracy and everything, as far as like kicking you from different angles and different directions, and punching you with combinations, and punching you with do all these different punches, and trying to throw you and trying to take you down and trying to get you in locks and trying to ground and pound you, whatever the case may be. Like you need somebody with experience in order to get that hands-on sparring experience in order to get better. If you don't have that, there's no way that you could really learn on your own. No matter if you have a punching bag, or wooden dummies, or practicing forms. You could practice the forms, you could practice wooden dummy, you could practice using punching bags, you could exercise, and that's great. You can condition yourself. You could train in everything and get yourself ready, but you still need somebody there, and typically somebody that has experience, that's better than you, that knows through his own experience, how to help you get better, to take you to his level. You need that. If you want to get proficient in self-defense and sparring, like I said, if you don't care for that, then you could definitely learn about the philosophy of the martial arts by reading books. A lot of times you'll find it in the books more than somebody directly, because most people directly don't know anything about the philosophy of the martial arts, and a lot of them don't really have time to explain it. So it's going to be hard to meet somebody directly that's going to teach you about the philosophy of the martial arts. A lot of times that's going to come from the books. You definitely can learn about the philosophy and meditation of the martial arts from books. Um, and the and as far as the fitness is concerned, you don't really need somebody to be there with you, to get fit, to run, to jump rope, to do jumping jacks, to do push-ups, to do pull-ups. You don't need somebody, you know, there really. I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, to learn basic form and exercises, and you don't need to learn so many different exercises, like very basic, like squat, push up, pull up, bicep curl, military press, sit ups. I mean, just basic exercises. You don't really need somebody there. You just need the motivation to keep doing it. But the combative, like if you're a beginner, it's almost impossible to learn it by yourself, you know, without somebody with experience. It's gonna take forever. It really is. Um, but if you have a foundation, you've been training for many years, you're already good at sparring, then you can learn a lot from books and videos very easily. You can just look and see and then learn, and then you already know, because you already know the language. You could decode everything. It's like somebody that's been studying language, like a different language, say like Spanish, and he could read it and write it and he could speak it, and you give him a Spanish book, then he could learn from it. You give him a video where they're speaking in Spanish, he learns from it. But if the person doesn't have any foundation in Spanish, he can't read it, can't write it, can't speak it, and you give him a Spanish book, he's not gonna be able to figure it out. There's no way. He needs the foundation. So you need to have a strong foundation in order to learn from books, and even Bruce Lee's books are very complex. Like it could take over a decade or longer to really understand his books thoroughly, you know. But once you understand it, then it's like having a secret key, like opening up the golden gate, and then you could just go, so you could start creating and just go off of that, and start creating your own, and then everything, it just comes easy. It's like natural. It's like a part of you, you know. Some people it just comes easier. Other people, it's very difficult, and the people that I've been training, it's really hard for them to catch on. I mean, you gotta constantly be there correcting them and explaining things, and correct them and explaining things, and going through repetition and repetition and repetition. It's like really, really, even when you have somebody there, it's not easy to learn, and it's not easy to teach. That's another thing. We try to learn from a book. Like, who's gonna correct you? Who's gonna tell you that you're doing it right or wrong? You know what I mean? Like, you gotta really, really be like self-disciplined in order to, in a way, teach yourself. But really, like I said, you still need that foundation, because the person that I trained a lot with in college, who was really into the Jeet Kune Do, he had experience in kickboxing, and learning from a kickboxing gym, and he had an instructor, and he's been training with the instructors, he's been training with other students, he's been training with his friends, so he had a lot of experience. And then he started reading Bruce Lee's books and getting into it, and started to teach himself from his experience that he had. And that's what I did. I had experience, and then I started to get into the Bruce Lee books later after I had some experience. But you can't just go into the Bruce Lee books without experience. You're not gonna understand anything. You know, it's gonna be extremely difficult. You need, you know like a punching bag. Anybody can hit a punching bag, but not very few people will know how to hit it. You know, to spar properly, where the person's actually trying to hit you back, and then you got to be very aware and attentive of being countered. And you need somebody with experience in order to exploit your weaknesses. That's why you see a lot of boxers and wrestlers. They're very competitive. They're always trying to find people to box with and wrestle with, because they know that they can't learn anything without someone else to give them that challenge. Because nobody, except for Floyd Mayweather Jr., for example, could really challenge anybody with the amount of speed and accuracy and precision that he has. Not anybody could do it. Like, he's the only one in the world that could do it. So that's why everybody wants to fight him, because they want to get that experience. And once you get that experience, then nobody could take that away from you. But it's like you need somebody that knows how to kick and punch, and is flexible and fast and strong, and give you that challenge in order to take you to the next level. But if you don't have anybody, and you just have a book ahead in front of you, there's no way. You're not going to be great in sparring. Without sparring, you can't. There's no way you could be great in sparring with just reading a book, watching a video. If that was the case, then everybody that watched Michael Jordan play basketball would be just as good as him. But that's not the case. You need to constantly train, and you need to surround yourself with very talented people, and then you will become talented. But if you don't have anybody around you, it's just you, and you just got this book, there's no way you're gonna get good at sparring. you know. But if you take the sparring aspect out of it, if you're talking about getting fit, if you're talking about hitting a punching bag, if you're talking about using a wooden dummy, if you're talking about practicing forms, then yeah, you could do that solo. To learn about meditation, you could do that solo by reading books. But the sparring in particular, and even the forms, to have a proper technique and everything, to do things the way it's supposed to be done, you need people around you that have experience to help you. That's my opinion. Based on my experiences, based on the people that I've been training with throughout my entire life. Martial arts is something where, if you really want to get to the highest level, you got to interact with other people that have a lot of experience. And then once you get that, that experience, then you can start creating, and then you can keep going and go beyond, and you don't really need other people anymore, because you've already like gotten to the point where you're kind of beyond that. It's kind of like being so conditioned with your body that a human being can't even challenge you anymore. Then you need like a wooden dummy that doesn't break. So then you keep using the wooden dummy to strengthen you and condition you, and you don't need another human being anymore. It's like once you got it, you got it. Then you start challenging yourself in different ways, without having to be dependent on another human being. But I say at the beginning of the martial arts, you really need the help of the people around you. And then once you get to that certain level, then you could use them, for help, to help you train, or you don't have to. You could basically progress either way. And then if you got both ways, then that's the best. Then you could train by yourself and improve, and you could train with other people and still improve. Like you're not being held back, you know, in any way. But sometimes when you surround yourself with the wrong people, then they start pulling you down. They're very egoistic, they're very competitive, and then they want to hurt you, and they want to break you, and then you're not learning anymore. Then they're taking away your energy, and then you're better off training on your own. When I'm talking about other people, I'm talking about positive people that want to help you, and they're not going to hurt you. But if you surround yourself with about a bunch of egoistic people that are very competitive and they want to hurt you, then I say you stay away from those people. You got to find the right teacher, find the right students, to find the right people to be around you. Then you'll reach your potential.